So when we start off in this film, Thor has a new look, new hairdo. How did all that play into how you took the role of this film?
I think the objective from, even years before we'd written the script was to change this film up in some way. I think it all started to feel a little bit familiar and predictable, and I called Kevin Feige and said, we got to do something different here. And he agreed, and was incredibly receptive. And then we had Taika come on board, who had the same attitude. And so it was about changing the aesthetic look, the hair, the hammer, the costume, everything, the world that we were a part of, the universe, the music, everything. And so it felt like kind of a clean slate, and starting again and playing a new character in a way, which was hugely freeing and invigorating.
Super great. It's the funniest Thor film by far I've seen. So what makes Thor more relatable as a superhero in this film?
I think there's a vulnerability to him, and an accessibility to him that wasn't there prior. I think the first time I played the character was about making him, playing a god, and being sort of ethereal and godlike and speaking a certain way and moving a certain way. But the problem is with that is that then it's good for one film, but then after that you sort of hit a ceiling and you have nowhere to go. And so this film was about kind of stripping that back and having a greater access to that vulnerability and relatability about he's one of us. He has the same problems that we all have. He has the same insecurities that we all might have, or the same sort of concerns or fears or whatever. And then so we sort of did away with any exterior sort of confidence, and he was almost on the back foot a lot of the time, which is a lot more fun to play. There's a self-deprecating sort of attitude and sense of humor that comes into play there.
Interesting. When I talked to Taika, he said that he also felt like Thor sort of took on a maternal essence because he was taking care of everyone, from Hulk, from all that stuff. Do you have any?
Yeah, sure. I think it's. I think there was a reluctance to do that, more so than the other films. I think prior it was because that was his duty, and he should fill that role. Whereas this time around, he'd sort of denied that role, yet was thrust into a position where he had no choice. And even if he didn't know what the hell was going on or how to handle it, he had to sort of step up and do it. And it was nice. Then you have, Tessa Thompson, for instance. Her character has this Han Solo quality to her, and this brashness and confidence, which puts Thor in the back foot and brings out a whole different quality again.
So, last question, because they're wrap me up. When you were shooting in Brisbane.
Mm-hmm. Brisbane and the Gold Coast.
Brisbane, there was this amazing outpour, like fans constantly. It's kind of hard to shoot sometimes. Tell us how exciting that was to have that all happening around the set.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that's sort of close to my hometown, and I hadn't worked there in Australia for probably 10 years. So to bring this film back there and with this kind of energy, and then go to Brisbane and have thousands of people turn up to have a look at the set and meet us, and so on, was hugely overwhelming and a moment I'll never forget. It's pretty special.
Let's start off by talking about the Grandmaster and what he does in the film.
Yes, sir. Well, Chris, I'm the Grandmaster in the movie, and I am the leader of Sakaar, this planet called Sakaar, and it's a colorful planet. In fact, look, Taika Waititi. Come here, Taika Waititi. Look. Hi, Taika. Of course, directed the movie and plays Korg in the movie. I love that Taika Waititi. Can you believe it?
Yes.
I love him. Look at his striped. He's
always fashionable.
He's not French, but that's very French, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fascinating thing that I was saying, that even I forgot this, but was that I play the Grandmaster. Yes, I'm the head of Sakaar, and it's colorful, and even though I've lived since shortly after the Big Bang, 14 million years old, the only thing I like to do is to play games, really. And I've gladiatorial. When we meet I'm in the middle of my gladiatorial games, producing, and what else? And then there's a kind of a rebellion, and I have to deal with that and all that kind of stuff. But, fear not, I can't be killed, just like my brother Benicio del Toro, the collector. And there it is. And that's in the middle of this whole other story that young Thor is going through. Isn't that something? Yeah.
So how did you approach, and where did this over-the-top fantastical character come from?
Well, from the comic books, you'll if you read all the comic books for a couple of decades, or Wikipedia, the Grandmaster, you can find out many things about all his superpowers. He can do many things, and everything he's been through. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and where he's from and all that. Then they wrote this lovely script, but Taika Waititi, the guy who is right here, whose essence I can still smell on my clothing, kind of made up, how we did. He said, I'm going to do something different with this. And when we first met, he said, I don't think you should be kind of theatrical or overly comic booky. It's going to be different than we've seen you, but we're going to improvise a lot, and it's going to be loose, and we're going to have fun. Kind of like that.
What drew you to the Grandmaster?
Well, I like the idea. I like this. I thought I could do something with this guy who was kind of a sensualist and a fun person of fun and gamesmanship. I like to play games. Did you ever come to that gig that I do at Rockwell here in Los Angeles? I play piano in a jazz group called the Mildred Snitzer Orchestra, and we play every Wednesday if I'm in town not working at Rockwell, and we play games at that. We play all kind of movie games and trivia games and different things like that. So anyway, I myself like games. If we were to play a game right now, right here, I would love it. So like that. So I thought that could be fun.
I'll come to the Rockwell because I come a lot. I've been for other people there.
Really?
I promise.
I'll see you there on Wednesdays. We're there on Wednesdays.
Okay, last question. One word, because that guy came in here and interrupted us. One word, describe Taika Waititi.
Grand fun and brilliant. It's 2 words. And unique and brave and sweet and generous and gracious. What a delightful, loving soul he is, and it's wildly intelligent.
So you're a fan of the Marvel MCU. How did that affect you, taking the job as well as your vision for what this film should be?
Well, taking the job was easy because I just, my chance at making a superhero movie, was not coming around that often, So like when something like that appears and like, the universe, if you will, gives you an opportunity like that, you should take it. And I just saw it as an opportunity to learn how to make bigger films and how to learn. So because I can easily go back to my small films because I've got those scripts that I'm going to keep working on. I'll do those. But the opportunity to go through this door into this world that's huge budgets and amazing actors, a chance to work with all these people, and to create something that was going to be a challenge for me was the thing that drew me towards it. Whenever I'm about to do a project and I feel nervous and that it might be the career ender for me, then I know it's a good move.
And what about the vision of it? Did it?
The vision, well, my vision originally was just make Thor the coolest character and make him the most entertaining character. Otherwise, don't call the film Thor. And we wanted, and Chris had already said this to everyone as well. He's like, I want to do something where I'm not doing the same thing, I'm not treading water again and again. I want to change the character up and make him more fun and have an adventure. And so, and Marvel are very responsive to when people want to do that stuff. So I went in and my vision was just that, make it fun and colourful. And look at that poster. It's like, it's got to be like that. It's got to be like the comic books that I grew up with, where it was like splash pages and Kirby art and it's fun and like vibrant and,
It's one of the funniest Marvel superhero films. So how was that on the set? Did you know that it was going to be rooted with that comedy?
Yeah. Right from the beginning, like I know that they brought me in for my tone and for my sense of humor as well. So when we were writing the film and storylining and everything, and there were a lot of visual gags already wanted to get in there, and we knew that they knew that I'd ad-lib on all my movies anyway. So we used the script as a kind of template. Mm-hmm. We do probably a version of that. We just pick out the lines that are vital for exposition, and then we ad-lib to make it better.
What's the single most important thing you want audiences to walk out of the theater with after seeing
A
Thor
ticket
Ragnarok?
stub, or two preferably. I want them to feel it. No, I want audiences to feel a sense of joy and just to kind of feel a bit more energized about life, because this film has got a lot of life in it, even though it's a crazy superhero movie with a giant wolf in it and a zombie army and Incredible Hulk and all these crazy elements. It's also a celebration of life and energy, and in this time, I think it's nice for people to be able to go to and escape to a cinema and have an experience like that where they can laugh, and go and see it with their kids and laugh, and that's for me like a perfect film at the moment.
Yes, the last question, and I want to get it right because I didn't write these questions. There was a lot of excitement around where you were filming this. Brisbane.
Yeah.
Brisbane. How exciting was that for you to be able to film? Because obviously that's...
Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't that exciting for me because there was lots of crowds and people in the back of our shots and stuff, and it was really hard to move around the streets. But after we'd wrapped, you could see just the sheer joy of those people seeing Chris and Tom and and the actors on the streets of Brisbane, and they're screaming, and they had barricades. It was nuts, but it was it made me think that's kind of like what we're trying to do with the movie, is just get audiences to be excited about something again, and I think they're going to be excited by this film.
Where do we find Hulk at the beginning of the movie?
So Hulk is on Sakaar. It's the dream of we're trying to honor the fans, and they're wanting there to be a planet Hulk. So he's jettisoned into space at the end of Avengers, Age of Ultron, and we find him as a gladiator, king, prince, on the planet of Sakaar, where he is made to fight his dear friend Thor.
Tell us about that relationship with Thor in this film, how it's different from the previous films.
Well, you rarely ever got to see... First of all, you never get to see Thor and Hulk just hanging out. We never got to see Hulk other than just when he's raging and destroying things. Now we get to see who Hulk is when he's not angry, not totally angry. And we get to hear him speak, see how he lives in his apartment, his bachelor pad. And so it's a much more interesting, complex relationship that he has with Thor. He actually has scenes with Thor other than punching him or hitting him and fighting with him. And those are really good, funny scenes, and they're really two funny characters together.
This film is super, super funny.
Great.
So tell us about, I know you work in green screen, but also practical sets that go along with it. What was your favorite set to work with and on?
I love Hulk's apartment. Everything's huge. There's toys laying around. There's giant gladiator gear. His bed is a giant jaw of some dinosaur, some intergalactic dinosaur that he killed in the battle zone of the gladiator ring. He's got a hot tub. He's got huge pieces of fruit that he eats. It's just it was just fun to be in that space and to kind of figure out who is Hulk? What is he like when he's not fighting? The spaceships were really cool and different. I mean, Taika really does. He really goes into the comic book world, especially Jack Kirby, who's so trippy and colorful and freaky, and so all the sets were trippy and freaky, and the characters were trippy and freaky. So yeah, it was a really beautiful, fun world to play in.
The comic book mentioned there's so many scenes that it's the slow motion stuff that just almost look like it's a comic strip frame.
Yes.
It's so great.
Yes.
What did you like best about working so closely with Chris on this film?
Just playing with him and the kind of arena that Taika makes. He loves us. He's so fun. He comes in the morning with his beatbox, his jam box, and he's, playing Boy George or Queen or In Excess or Edith Piaf. It was a very eclectic, wild world that we were living in every day, and it was very playful, and we were improvising a lot, with the idea that we were going to really just break all the rules of the Marvel Universe and hope that we would have a movie by the time it was all said and done. Wait till you see the deleted scenes in the DVD, because there will be a lot of them, and they're pretty great.
Perfect. One word answer for the last question for theatrical is one word, describe working with Taika.
Glorious.
So how did it feel to suit up as Loki again?
It was great. Yeah, I hadn't done it for a while. The last time, well, it was about 4 years. So it was kind of amazing to get back in the habit and play the Lokester. Yeah.
And what can audiences expect to see from this third go round with Loki and Thor, the relationship and everything?
Well, it's every film there's an evolution of the relationship between Thor and Loki, and Taika Waititi, our director, has infused that brotherly feud with so much humor and so much spirit, and it's kind of time to ring the changes, because there's only so long that those two can basically fight and try to one up each other, and actually the stakes are so high that they need to change things up between them a bit. You'll see.
Tell us about Loki's blades in the training with that.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. Loki, when I was first cast as Loki 8 years ago now, we decided that when Loki was in combat, he would have these sort of magical blades that he could make appear at any time. And there's this fight in the first film, but because of his staff, which has become quite crucial in the Marvel Universe, in Avengers, I haven't fought with the blades for a bit, so it was nice in a way to come back to that. And we had amazing stunt coordinator and fight directors and a whole great stunt team we used to train with all the time. Ben, what's Ben's last name? I feel terrible for forgetting Ben's last name, but he was our stunt director. He was great, yeah.
Good old Ben.
Perfect. So Tessa, first go round.
Yeah.
First go round, first time MCU. How was it? Daunting? Easy? Good?
No, I wouldn't say easy. I would say, these films present a world of challenges, but ones that I was really eager to tackle. Just the physicality and learning how to wield a sword and to gain muscle mass, and the challenges of working, on green screen and having to create this whole world, with imagination, all of that stuff. But, it's daunting, and that's why it's fun, I think, at least for me.
What as an actor did you have to wrap yourself around to get that inner warrior spirit for Valkyrie?
Goodness, I think just really working on the physicality and feeling sort of confident and strong when holding a sword and getting stronger myself, just doing pull-ups. Just feeling, really spending time on stage 3 with the stunt crew, and once you can sort of move through space, doing some of that fight stuff, you begin to kind of be able to inhabit the space of the character. And then, of course, so much of the universe is created for you just with costume and what's happening around you. So it's, you're not doing it on your own.
So playing such a strong female character in the Marvel Universe is always looked at as you're going to be a role model. You're going to be looked up to by little girls. Tell me what that feels like.
Yeah, it feels tremendous, and hopefully not just by little girls, by boys too. I think it's important that boys look at female characters and think it's something that they would like to aspire to be. I think that's really important. And I have the added benefit, I think, of being able to present a character that wasn't necessarily historically represented this way. And so there's a host of young women that look like me, and their mothers write me and say, we're so happy that our little girl gets to see a woman that looks like her on screen. I certainly never thought that I would be in a film like this playing a superhero, and I think some of that has to do with the fact that I didn't grow up watching a superhero that looks like me. So that's a joy.
And now this is both of them, so if we can open it up so we get both of them in the camera. And I apologize, I shouldn't have said just little girls. Everyone should look up. So tell me your favorite. I know it's practical sets and green screen. What was your favorite set to work on during filming?
You want to jump in with that?
I really like the Hulk suite, which you were.
I didn't spend any time
really
in the Hulk suite.
Oh, you were in my apartment though. That was.
I
cool.
was in your apartment. Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
was
in the set, in my set apartment.
Valkyrie, Scrapper 142 or Val has an apartment on Sakaar. Loki ends up there in chains. It was pretty rad, that apartment.
Yeah, that apartment was cool. There was lots of funny little tidbits. She's not the cleanest, person. So there's sorts of relics all over the place. I think at one point there was a human arm. I don't know if that's still in the movie, but she's just like looking for stuff and chucks an arm.
The Sakarian stuff was great because that felt Thor and Loki are cast out onto this alien planet called Sakaar, which is presided over by Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster, and Val is there, and it was really inspired by the illustrations of Jack Kirby, who was such a influential comic book illustrator for Marvel, and it's really out there and out of this world. And so the colors of those sets, there's when Loki and Val fight, there was a sort of in this kind of the hall of slightly strange jigsaw puzzle piece. I don't know what you'd call it really. It was like, but it was a very, very colorful, otherworldly set. Kind of felt like we were in Wonka's Chocolate Factory or something,
Yeah, and then Hulk Suite, where he lives, is sort of this lush, like bachelor pad, but everything's huge, obviously, because it's the Hulk. He has a hot tub and a circular bed and a bar, which of course Val enjoys immensely. But yeah, you as an actor, you're always trying to suspend your own disbelief, and thereby the audience's. So it's always a pleasure to walk onto a set that just is so lived in and is telling a story. It makes your job easier.
A lot of the folks that I've talked to already have talked about how Taika was very encouraging of improvisation. And there's going to be some stuff possibly on the cutting room floor that we see. Is there any insight to some fun stuff that happened on set that's...
I think Taika's whole, I think he's immaculate really at capturing the spontaneity of improvisation, and that's what he loves most about being a filmmaker, is understanding the structure of the story, inspiring his actors to understand it too, but then along the way to play with it, to see what comes up in the moment, because really that's the magic. If you can capture things that characters would say as they think it for the first time, I think it always comes off as fresher than anything that was ever scripted, and that specifically works with his comedy. It's such a fun film. It's so funny. Every character is funny in a way, and so it made the set feel very light, which is lovely.
Everyone's playing the game with everybody. One word answers for Taika. How was it working with Taika?
Hilarious.
Goofy.
Last question is, what do you each hope that people walk away from the theater after seeing this film with?
I hope that people have a great time. It is so entertaining, and that's all Taika, and Chris and Tessa. But it's so colourful and feels like it's something that's very true to Marvel and also to the characters, and it's epic. It's just a great time. I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, I think Ragnarok is literally the destruction of the old and the birth of the new. So I hope that people feel like this new world order that we've created in this universe, this zany thing, is exciting and a place they want to stick around for a while.